Welcome. This is fifth lecture on kinetic theory of gases. In this video, I will give you the concept of degree of freedom. I will discuss about principle of equipartition of energy, and with the help of this principle of equipartition of energy, we will try to calculate some formula related with the specific heat. Okay. What is degree of freedom? Let's understand the concept degree of freedom. Let's see, I have a straight line and this is along a x-axis. Okay, now there is a particle and this particle is moving in this straight line. There is a question for you. How many coordinates we need to specify the position of this particle? And your answer will be 1. So we need one coordinate to specify the position of particle. Let's see another example. Now the particle is roaming around 2D plane. And the question is same. How many coordinates we need to specify the position of particle? The answer will be 2 coordinates. Okay. Let's see another example. Here the particle have trajectory in 2D. However, the motion is restricted. The distance of the particle from the center of xy plane is fixed. That is, particle can move in the circular path. And now the question is, how many coordinates we need to specify the position? If your answer is 2, then you are wrong. The answer will be 1. Why? Even the particle is roaming in 2D, we have one constraint. And this constraint reduces the number of coordinates. How? Just simply think in terms of polar coordinate. The two coordinates in 2D, r and theta. But r is fixed because this particle is moving in a circular path. So as r is fixed, we just need one coordinate, theta, to specify its position. If you are thinking in terms of Cartesian coordinate, then we have a relation root over x square plus y square equals to constant. And because of this, if you know the x coordinate, then you can easily calculate the y coordinate from this equation. That is, for a given value of x, y has to follow this relation. Therefore, we just need one coordinate. So what we have seen, the number of constraints reduce the number of independent coordinate which we need to specify the position of the particle. Okay. Let's see another example. It's exactly same condition. Particle is moving in 1D. However, it is also rotating about its axis. Now the same question I am repeating. How many coordinates we need to specify the position as well as the configuration of the system? If your answer is 1, then you are wrong. Here the answer will be 2 coordinates. We need 2 coordinates to specify the position and configuration of the particle. One coordinate we need to specify is translational motion and another coordinate we need for the rotational motion. Okay. One coordinate x you need to specify its position, another coordinate you need to specify its rotation about that axis. Okay. So that's how you can understand how many number of coordinates we need to specify the position and configuration of a particle. Now think in terms of gas. A gas consists of many particles which can have translation motion, rotational motion, vibration motion, anything. Okay. So now we are in the position where we can define the degree of freedom. What is degree of freedom? Degree of freedom is number of independent coordinates necessary for specifying the position and configuration in space of a dynamical system. Okay. For any system, suppose a system consists of n number of particles and the independent coordinates of the particles are x1, y1, z1, x2, y2, z2, x3, y3, z3 and so on. Here, each particle needs 3 coordinates x1, y1, z1. This can be any kind of coordinate. You should not be restricted to only the coordinate system of the space. Like we have seen in one example, even the particle is moving in 1D, it is rotating about its axis. Therefore, we need x. Along with that, we need omega. Okay. Similarly, a particle can have a vibrational motion, and for that we need another kind of coordinate. So in generalized sense, the number of independent coordinate which we need to specify the position of particle, that's what we are denoting here, x1, y1 and z1 for particle 1, x2, y2, z2 for the particle 2 and so on. Okay. Now suppose there is m number of constraints and they are represented by an equation. In one example we have seen where the particle was moving in a circle and there the constraint was represented by an equation x square plus y square equals to constant. In similar manner, suppose your system have m number of constraints. So what will happen? this constant will reduce the number of independent coordinates. So from here you can see for each particle you need 3 coordinates. So for n particle you need 3n number of coordinates. But because of this m constraint, this independent coordinate will reduce by number m. Therefore, what we can write, degree of freedom is given by F equals to 3n minus m. Okay. This is all the idea about the degree of freedom. Let's see the principle of equipartition of energy. Before defining this principle of equipartition of energy, we will assume that molecule in their motion obey law of mechanics. Okay. So under such scenario, what this principle says, the mean kinetic energy of a system of molecule in thermal equilibrium at temperature T is uniformly distributed among all degrees of freedom, and for each degree of freedom of the molecule it equals half kT, where K is the Boltzmann's constant. What it trying to say? Suppose your system need F number of degrees of freedom to specify its position and configuration, then the kinetic energy of the system will equally distributed among all the degrees of freedom, and each degree of freedom will have its share of half kT. Okay, we have just seen degree of freedom for a system of n particle moving in a space in general is given by 3n minus m. Therefore, for such system the total kinetic energy will be 3n minus m into half kT. Why? Because each degrees of freedom will have half kT amount of kinetic energy. So for f degrees of freedom we will have total kinetic energy 3n minus m into half kT. Now we will utilize this idea to calculate the very important quantities like specific heats. Let's consider a system consists of only free particle. Okay, why free particle? Because for a free particle potential energy is equals to 0. So the total energy of the particle will be equals to its kinetic energy. And now what we will assume that F is the degree of freedom per molecule. It means you need F number of independent coordinate to specify the position and configuration of a single molecule. In such scenario, what will be the energy per mole? We know for 1 degree of freedom, energy is half kT. Here we are dealing with the free particle system, therefore kinetic energy is equals to total energy. Therefore, the energy per mole will be half kT for one molecule multiplied by F, because F is the degree of freedom for that molecule, into Na. Na is Avogadro number, the number of molecule in 1 mole. Therefore, energy per mole is given by half kT into F into Na. Okay. Now we know Boltzmann's constant into Na will be R. Therefore, we can write energy E is equals to half FRT. Now what will be the molar heat capacity at constant volume? The molar heat capacity will be dE dt. Why molar? Because this energy is per mole, therefore the specific heat will be molar. So molar heat capacity at constant volume will be dE dt at constant volume. And if you differentiate this equation with respect to T, you will get half Fr. So this is specific heat at constant volume. Now we know one relation. We know for a 1 mole, Cp minus Cv is equals to R. Now what we will do, we will utilize these two relations to calculate Cp. And Cp will be R into 1 plus F upon 2 by utilizing these two relations. Now formula for ratio of specific heat, and it is given by gamma. So gamma is equals to 1 plus 2 upon F. Okay. We will utilize this formula to calculate this quantity for some specific case of the gas molecules. Okay. For the monoatomic gas. What is monoatomic gas? Monoatomic gas means a gas whose molecule consists of only one atom. That is, it will look like this. Here we will assume that there is no vibrational or rotational motion. In such scenario, what will happen? The number of degrees of freedom for each molecule will be 3 because it is moving in a 3D space. So in 3D space, we need 3 independent coordinates to specify its location. Therefore, degree of freedom will be 3 for one molecule and it will be 3n for whole gaseous system if n is the number of molecules. What will be energy per mole? We know the formula half FRT. Just substitute the value of F F is 3, so it will be 3 upon 2 RT. Now molar heat capacity at constant volume, it is given by CV, and CV is equals to half FR. F is 3, therefore it will be 3 upon 2R. And similarly the molar heat capacity at constant pressure, it is given by 5 upon 2R. And the final one, ratio of specific heat gamma, gamma is 1 plus 2 upon F, F is 3, so it is 5 upon 3 equals to 1.67. Look how easily we have calculated all this quantity without performing any kind of analysis. We have just assumed that gas is monoatomic and we know the degree of freedom for such case, and we have just calculated it. You will find out there are excellent agreement of all this quantity with the experimental observation. Let's calculate this quantity for diatomic gas. What do you mean by diatomic gas? As name suggests, the molecule of diatomic gas consists of two atoms, and the two atoms are connected by a bond, and they look like this. Okay. Now, what is the degree of freedom for each molecule? As the molecule consists of two atoms and each atoms need 3 coordinates to specify its position, therefore we need 3 into 2 6. However, there is one constant. The distance between two atoms is fixed because there is a bond between them. So the overall degree of freedom will be 5. 3 into 2 and one constant, so 3 into 2 minus 1, that is 5. Okay. Now just simply substitute this F in the formulas and we will get all the quantities. For energy per mole, it will be half F RT, so it will be 5 by 2 RT. The molar heat capacity at constant volume will be 5 upon 2R, just by substituting F equals to 5. And molar heat capacity at constant pressure will be 7 upon 2R, and the gamma will be 7 upon 5, that is 1.4. And you will find out there is an excellent agreement with the experimental observation. And the diatomic gas we all know, hydrogen, nitrogen and so on. Let me tell you one point. Here we have only considered the translational motion, that's why degree of freedom is 5. But what will happen if you consider other motion for these molecules? It may have a vibrational motion, and if you consider the vibrational motion, then you will find out degree of freedom will increase. As a result, the ratio of specific heat will change. But at the room temperature with degree of freedom equals to 5, the experiment as well as calculation has excellent agreement, which means other mode like vibration is not playing much role at the room temperature. Okay, that's why we are getting excellent agreement with this assumption, that is only translation motion. Okay, now consider a situation where you don't have a single gas, you have mixture of gas, and then what will happen? The formula for the gamma, we will assume that N1 moles of ideal gas having F1 degree of freedom per molecule is mixed with N2 moles of another ideal gas with F2 degree of freedom. In such scenario, what will be the total energy? Here I am writing U because I am not telling energy per mole, I am telling total energy of the system. So for each degree of freedom it will be half kT, and for F1 degree of freedom it will be half kT into F1. For 1 mole it will be multiplied by Na, and for N1 moles it will be multiplied by N1. So it will be half kT N1 Na Fa. Similarly for the second gas. So the total energy of the system will be half RT N1 F1 plus N2 F2. Now we know the total energy. So we can simply calculate heat capacity at constant volume by du dt at constant V. Here this heat capacity is no longer molar because this is total energy, not energy per mole. So if you calculate du dt, it will be half R N1 F1 plus N2 F2. And we know Cp minus Cv equals to R for 1 mole. Here we have N1 plus N2 mole, therefore Cp minus Cv equals to N1 plus N2 R. If you utilize these two relation, then you can simply calculate Cp, and Cp will be R into N1 2 plus F1 plus N2 2 plus F2 upon 2. Now we know Cp and Cv, therefore the gamma will be Cp upon Cv, and this will be equals to N1 into 2 plus F1 plus N2 into 2 plus F2 upon N1 F1 plus N2 F2. I have calculated gamma, Cp and Cv for the single gas system, both in case of monoatomic and diatomic case. If you have a condition like mixture of gas, then simply utilize this formula instead of that, and you can easily calculate this quantity Cp, Cv, gamma, U. Now I am stopping here. See you in next lecture. Thank you.